Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the In the Paint Show. Here with my longtime host, Umana. It's just us two solo dolo. Our girl, Chelsea, is watching NBA playoffs, but we're here going to talk grassroots and high school, kind of our specialty. Obviously, we feel this is the best high school and grassroots podcast in the country. If you really want that information, insight. Ani, how's it going?
Man, going good. I mean, I wish people saw the In the Paint bloopers. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
to get set up, but everything's great. We're the best grassroots show in the country. I'm excited. I'm hyped.
No doubt.
Let's go.
Yeah, because again, we talk about everything, and Chelsea has great knowledge. Like I said, if you listen to recent episodes, if you really want to know about the W and stuff, what's going on, like you really gotta listen in and follow her. Again, we're on episode 186, so go listen to episode 185, 184. Again, subscribe, like. We need people to out there, tell people to tune in. Spotify, iTunes, and on YouTube, of course. Look for the Ballislife Podcast Network. But Ani, we wanted to talk about young players, what players we've seen for the 23-24 season, and also who we're gonna see, who we've seen recently. And talk about our player rankings. And we'll start with our player rankings for 224 because we're going to get into 225, 226, and then eventually 227. It's crazy, but we got end of the year awards. Mr. Basketball, we still got to hand out. Mr. Basketball USA. It's been a great season, but it came to an end. Our guy Dylan Harper in the front of a New York crowd. He's kind of getting people at Rutgers ready. He kind of gets like a jump shot to end the Jordan Brand Classic game, which was over the weekend. I mean, he's really pushing for that number one spot in the final rankings. Maybe he might even be the player of the year in the country. We don't know yet. The panel will decide, but wanted to get your high take on that and kind of that All-Star game and kind of closing out the season.
Yeah, no, Dylan Harper, just everywhere I've seen him, he's been really productive and arguably the best player. Like City of Palms, even though it was a team's
structure
tournament. Like, I felt like he was the best player at the event. He's just been productive. McDonald's practice, McDonald's games. Jordan Brand, obviously Liam McNeely won the MVP. Jordan Brand, but it just you can't tell me in a big time event showcase game where he hasn't came to play. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that speaks a lot. Productivity means a lot. That's why, to me, I feel like him and Cooper Flag and, VJ Ezra kind of in there. But, I feel like those two have kind of been a little in where it's loaded at the top. I feel like those two have kind of separated themselves. Just off how in the ranking, because of the season they've had. Like, you can't really say, oh, yeah, I saw Cooper Flag just play here or struggled here. Like, you don't really hear that. You don't hear that with Dylan Harper. So I think Dylan really has a strong case to be number one.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, we'll put up our final rankings. We do it on the Hoop Scoop. We've been doing it for a few years, and we're keeping with our guy Clark Francis is been doing for 40 years. So it's all there. Go check out the website, hoopscooponline.com. But again, we'll let you guys know when we put it out, the final ones. But like I said, like last week, Chelsea was kind of like, man, I kind of like, she's like on the Cooper now a little bit. And so it's real close. I mean, she kind of seen it a little bit more. And again, he has an all around game. Again, the easy comparison to Dylan Harper is obviously Jalen Brunson, who just recently led the Knicks to a playoff win. The Knicks are trying to grind in that playoff series. He was a great player for Mac Irvin Fire for his high school. Is that fair, Ronnie, or is there somebody better, to throw out there?
That's fair.
It's just a fair, solid comparison.
Yeah, that's a fair. I like Cade Cunningham. I think he has some Cade Cunningham.
Left-hand Cade Cunningham, kind of.
Like a lefty Cade Cunningham.
Is he just more explosive and better than Derek Fisher? Derek Fisher.
Damn, that's a really good call. That's a really good call.
Yeah, Derek. He moves like Derek, maybe a more alpha Derek Fisher.
Yeah, like a Derek Fisher plus.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not bad. That's you think, oh, Derek Fisher. No, Derek Fisher is 15 years in the league. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah,
Starting guard for
yeah,
championship teams, and
yeah.
was more of a spotter. But I think, like you said, like more explosive,
More
more like
explosive. Yeah,
handlier, like Derek Fisher. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a hell of a one.
not bad. I
Yeah,
like it. Because again,
on
the
the
easy
same
one is
side.
just the flavor of the month is Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
everybody's talking about him. So I kind of want to get away from that. But of course, Jalen's a great player. But how about any other senior? Where we kind of wrap up the seniors a little bit. Anybody out there that really just wowed you this year, whether he made McDonald's or not? Even a Texas senior that had a good year, or just somebody you saw that's like, man, this senior needs recognition.
Boogie Flan, he's finally getting the recognition he definitely deserves.
Yeah,
I'm like people are like, well, he's going to Kentucky and he was a McDonald's kid, but like he's so good. Like
yeah,
when I saw his name in like the 20s or the 30s, I'm like,
nonsense. Yeah,
you can't name 10 players, like 10 to 12 players better than him in
no,
the country. So he's someone that really is impressed. Josiah Mosley, he
okay,
was really good. That's the kid at Stony Point. Their
yeah,
the only two losses were against uh, Plano East, who went undefeated. Like,
40-0.
yeah,
Yeah,
Josiah Mosley just has his going to Villanova, can really make shots, has a college built body already. I've seen him make really tough shots, especially these middies off the dribble and the post. He was just a matchup nightmare.
yeah,
Um, I thought Josiah Mosley, no one would have thought this time last year that he would end up being the best player we have in the state of Texas, that's playing in Texas. And
sure.
he kind of took that and I didn't think there was anyone close, at my season's end. There was nobody that you could say in 224 in the state of Texas that was right there with Josiah from a production and
Yeah,
overall talent. I didn't think there was anyone
yeah,
close.
that's great. Especially to see a guy like that, and again, maybe he'll slip into the top 100 in our final rankings, and he's gonna get some. Again, we got. Make sure to check out ballslife.com. We still got Mr. Basketball USA coming. We got the elite All American team. It's the 30th year we've been doing the team. I can't believe I've been doing part of that for 30 years. The first one was in '95, meaning in real time. It was picked in real time by Student Sports Magazine, later by ESPN, later by onto Balls Life. So it's been a process. The team, in other words, the platform has changed, but the way we pick the team's been the same.
Got
And compared to and we do have All American teams, and we've talked about that before on old podcasts that were picked kind of retroactively. Some of the old timers that were great. That people get a lot of times confused with a great NBA player. Well, how great was he in high school? And some of these guys were not
right.
All American or All State. Most were All State, but not all were All American.
Mm-hmm.
And the people should know that. And a lot of people, there's more information out there than there was 20, 30 years ago about that. People just assumed every NBA player was a great high school player. Not true. Not even
Right.
close to true. And so then we start seeing all these documentaries and Last Dance and Scottie Pippen's a walk on and Water Boy and shit. People start learning the background, but not everybody's not everybody has that. Or some people are just a really key cog on a great team, like Derek Fisher. He's from Arkansas. They were a great team. They finished like 4th in the country, but they had other good players. He wasn't just the standout on himself, and he's
And
the one who made it to the NBA.
and what people don't realize is like they'll be like, well, how was this kid ranked this low and yada
Yeah,
yada? Like guys get better.
yeah, guys get
you know,
better, or they
you know,
plateau.
right,
Yeah,
right. Like guys plateau, guys get better. So, you know, like Zach Edey, I remember people were like, oh, like, he was ranked like 400s or whatever.
where he
But
was.
Zach Edey got better. I remember the first time I saw him with Northern Kings, they won UA Rise. And I was like, oh, I thought 400s was ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
But you weren't sitting there thinking he's going to be like college basketball player of the year back
no,
to back years. Like you didn't watch him think that. You thought he'd be a good high major player, like could be a good
yeah,
high major player, but the say you watched him then it was like he's gonna be that in college. Like, no one,
correct.
maybe other than his family could think that, but that's fine. But no one, I guess what I'm saying is that it's not like he got better when he got to Purdue. He got
He
in the
got
right
better, and he was in the right team.
right.
That's why I say if you're 7 foot, look, if you don't know anybody 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot, and you're a pretty good prospect, you got to consider Purdue
100%.
They go inside, they feed the post, they have great entry passes. They just practice that part of the game. You can tell some teams don't even practice that part of the game. They just run to the 3-point line and do bullshit. It's like you really see that Purdue really, again, they have the player to do it, but they do it with other guys too. Matt Painter's does a great job, obviously the NCAA runner-up. So yeah, any big out there, you got to consider Purdue, seriously.
100%.
Even if like if that's not the team you go to, that's okay, but consider them. Look what it did for Edie. So we're gonna have also the player of the year in each class, and that's kind of what this pod today is about. We want to talk about who we've seen, and we'll do it by class, 25, 26, and 27. We have a special guest who's in the 226 class, a state champion we're going to talk to a little bit later. But let's go through. Most people know the 225 class, Ani, pretty well. So we'll concentrate on 226, 227. But let's talk 225. Any guy that stuck out this year that you want to see, that you recently seen, or that you want to see this summer, and where you see him, or talk a little bit about 225.
I think definitely the Cameron Boozer.
Yeah.
It's how for a kid that has accomplished so much, and we were going to talk about like a 226 guest.
Yeah.
When you accomplish so much so early,
yeah,
how do you find the motivation to keep going and playing? Someone that's won Peach Jam, won state titles, didn't he win National Player of the Year last year? Like,
as a sophomore.
Sophomore, like, what you
now
wonder?
What?
Like now what? Like, how do you just come in every day to play? And so I guess I want to see that. Not saying he can't do it, but like that's something I'll be interested to see out of Cam. Like, you've accomplished so much so early. You're already in mock drafts for 226. You got all these things. You're going to be a McDonald's All-American. You won player. You're all those things. What's next? What drives you? And that's something I want to see, like, from this next year with him. It's just, not saying he hasn't shown that. Just how does a kid like him keep going? Because we've seen kids, either they kind of push through that and keep even reaching higher limits, then then people realize they could, or they just kind of stay there. So for me, Cam Boozer, just how does he push through going through what's next and not like looking too far in the future, right? Like, when you're someone like him, could you think of like, I can't wait till I get to college, I can't wait till I get to the NBA?
Correct.
Well, you're still in high school, right? You still got another year. So how do you keep pushing through that? I want to see him over this next year, how that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point on him, and a player that our followers probably do know. For me, I like to see a couple guys. I want to see Trey McKinney from St. Mary's Prep. Orchard Lake, they had a nationally ranked team this year. He's 6'3" guard. He's going to get some accolades. I think he's one that, maybe we'll see him at Pangos. Maybe we'll see him at NBA Players Association. Those are the two camps where we're going to kind of evaluate the 225s the most, kind of set the pecking order for next year. Obviously with Boozer and AJ Master, those kind of guys at the top. Another guy I want to see is if he can take it to the next level is IMG Academy, Darius Acuff. He had a great year, and see if that carries over. Is he going to make like, going to be one of the top 12 guys at NBA Players, that type of thing. Obviously the 17 U17 team is going to be in Turkey, so it'll be interesting to see, the FIBA World 17U World Cup. That's this year. Who's going to make that team? We imagine Cole Peters. We interviewed him at the USA Basketball Minicamp Final Four weekend. Cole Pete's a great name too. He hasn't lost a game
right
in the playoffs yet. I mean, in his high school career, he hasn't lost one single playoff game. That dude is like Stanley Johnson type guy in Arizona. Stanley won 4 state titles 10 years ago in California at Mater Dei, and Cole Pete is looking ahead that way for Perry High School in Arizona. So that's another name that comes out. And I think for people outside of California, I think one guy they're going to want to watch for the why not on EYBL is Alzy Harrington, because he kind of missed last season.
Right.
So does he go from like a top 20 guy to a top 7-10 guy? Like, can he because he's pretty firmly in. He was really great this past weekend at the Dead Period event in Southern California. There was a lot of good teams there, shoe company teams. But I think the country's going to get bigger glimpse of him. I think they got a little bit of glimpse at the Throne, which Roosevelt won back east in New Jersey. No, was it? Yeah, it was in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey. So does he take it to the next level? So those are my 3 or 4 guys that kind of, and maybe you have another one, but
I would say Hudson Greer.
Yeah.
His Lake Travis team lost in the regional semis.
Yeah.
And just kind of see if bounce back and can he kind of lead into a state title. I would like probably asked me 60 days ago. He's probably like outside looking in. If you had to vote for McDonald's team,
Sure.
right? But now I think he's inside. he's inside that JL3 team is loaded.
Yeah.
Just seeing what he does this spring and summer and this next school year, like, can he help lead JL3 to a Peach Jam title? Can he get Lake Travis over the hump and win a state title? I think he's very capable of doing that. He was really good at USA. Some people viewed him as one of, if not the best performer at USA.
Or close to it. Yeah. If he's not the best, close to it.
Right. So you just look at a kid like him, can he just make that next leap and kind of, he's done good with his teams, but now can he end his high school career with some championships and do it in some programs like JL3's never, they're still fairly young, but haven't won a Peach Jam title. And Lake Travis, I don't think they've won a state title. I'll have to see. I don't think so. But like, can he do those things? Can he kind of cement himself as like a legend out there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not too many. I don't recall, like you said, too many teams from Austin winning 6A. It doesn't ring a bell. So that would be like kind of like our guest, and he's from a small town in 226. Coming up in a little while, we'll have a special guest on the In the Paint show. So I get it. I saw him this weekend with JL3, and this past weekend in Southern California. So that was terrific. You know what I mean? There were some other guys there that did very well as well, and it's because of the dead period. We have some of April events that could really grow. It was the Made Hoops and EHA Circuit West Mania. That was what it was called. Elite Association Hoops. We had Arizona Unity there, who I've already seen quite a bit. Like I said, I mentioned the Oakland Soldiers look very promising with their group, led by AJ Dernassa and Tyran Stokes. 226. Again, I mentioned already the Why Not team had a great cast of guys, including Tunde Yusuf, from California, who's top 25 guy, even higher, maybe higher. That's a guy that people want to see. So I saw a lot. Again, I got a good read on an early, and I was just watching on. I wasn't going deep in my notes. I was just watching.
Right.
I knew a couple guys, a couple young guys that we'll talk about, but the old guys, I kind of know who they are. And JL3 has a good team. The young man, Henderson, I believe, the guard.
Shelton, yeah.
He's very good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Coach John Lucas, his flagship, team is very good. And maybe they might, like you said, they Mocan has won a lot of Peach Jam titles. Team Final, Team Loaded, right? I mean, Team Final, they've kind of been in the mix a lot lately, but we'll see if there's some new blood that can get to that Peach Jam title, So again, that's 225. Let's jump over to 226, Ani. The great class, as we talk about, the class that's going to bring this back, kind of get away from the COVID. I mean, me, you, and Chelsea,
right?
We talked about how much COVID has affected the portal, 221, 222. It really affected 222, even 223. 223 ain't very hot. I mean, we've getting words that 224 draft is just not very.
We talked about that for a while.
We've been talking about that. We knew it. There's going to be some guys that our guy Jonathan Gavoni, throws out there for pretty high, international guys. He's probably going to sneak in. You might as well swing for the fences in this draft.
Right.
I mean, if we can see who can really draft this
There's
draft.
no safe picks.
Yeah, there's no safe picks. I mean, you're not getting a franchise player most likely. You're not getting Wembanyama, but Are you even getting, like you said, a Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley? Not sure. But 226 for 227 draft, we should be getting a Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley. Yeah, that kind of player. So maybe guys that are playing up on the 17s, guys you want to see at Pangos and NBA. Who do you got, Ani, for 226?
226, obviously, we can go at the top, like, Tyron Stokes and Brandon McCoy.
Sure.
Brandon McCoy, who's at John Bosco, St. John Bosco.
Yeah.
He's been really good. I remember seeing him at, the event in the fall out in Vegas.
Yeah, the Border League.
And I was like, Ronnie, who is this? I was like, yeah, this dude, he is the best player I've seen in 226. And I remember saying that, and now, I also 24/7 put him there. But him and Tyron Stokes, obviously, like, they kind of lead that. They lead that. Elijah Arenas, obviously, we just want to see more, against more competitive environment. But he's a dude. I mean,
3 SSB, yes.
Right? I wish I saw him at Omaha. He didn't play.
Yeah, and he didn't play at USA minicamp either. So that's why we're hungry. Elijah, Gilbert, let's go, baby. Let's Atope. Let's get it going. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. So it just, he's obviously up there. He's someone that, it's all said and done. If he's number one, definitely wouldn't surprise me from the talent perspective. It's there. I mean, it's there. I mean, size, can shoot it, has feel, can play on and off it. Like, he got a lot of tools. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, Elijah Arenas is legit. And then Caleb Holt out of Alabama. He's someone that last year was probably more like a slashing wing, playing more on the ball, being a lead guard for that Game Elite group. I got to see all 4 games of him at Omaha, and I was just like, just the pace he plays in. He really hits you with counters on his drives to get to the rim. He's very unselfish. He knows how to get his teammates involved, but also knows when, like, okay, shit, I got to go get 8 in a row. Shit, like, we ain't got no offense flowing. So Caleb Holt, I really like. He keeps getting better and better. He's a great kid. So, like, those 4, to me right now, they kind of a little bit on the tier of their own. Really want to see Elijah Arenas in action some more in the spring and summer. But I can see him taking that next, like, step and leaping, being the real contention for number 1 in that class.
Got it. And, yeah, those guys are in the running for National Sophomore of the Year, which we haven't chosen yet. We have National Freshman of the Year, National Junior of the Year, and Mr. Basketball USA. Again, maybe the Player of the Year is an underclassman. That don't happen too often. Obviously, Boozer did it as a sophomore.
Right.
But most likely the Sophomore of the Year is probably not going to be the National Player of the Year. But that doesn't mean Holt, McCoy, that group that you just mentioned. And I think our guest has to be mentioned in that group as well.
What's that?
He led his team to a state title. We're talking about Owasso, Oklahoma's Jalen Montonati, Mo Canalina, I believe. He's on the EYBL circuit. Has been. We saw him at USA Basketball, and he's right there with that group. Again, that at that top of the group is very strong. We just saw him. We want, obviously we don't mind seeing him more, but I think we should go to our interview with him, and we'll wrap up with 226 after our interview with our special guest. Now we want to welcome our special guest to the In the Paint show, Coach Brian Montonati and Jalen Montonati, one of the best players in the 2026 class nationally from Owasso, Oklahoma. Fellas, thank you for joining the show.
Appreciate you guys having us.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having us on.
We appreciate you. Jalen, before we kind of really get into it, we do want to kind of start from the beginning, right? Like, when did you realize you want to pursue high-level basketball?
6th grade summer going into 7th grade. I remember having a talk with my dad, telling him I wanted to play a high-level college basketball and, get an opportunity to get looked at by the blue bloods in the nation, like Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, and all those great programs. And he just kind of told me that I had to work for it and nothing was going to be given to me. And I had to give it my all every single day and, put in time and effort into this game and just have fun with it and, just keep grinding every single day and just see the reward keep on piling in now.
Yeah, Jalen, take us back a little bit. What advantage or what insight did you get from knowing that your dad played for a legendary college coach and had that experience what did that give you, regardless of how good you are, regardless of your goals?
Yeah, for sure. He played with a great coach under Eddie Sutton, and he kind of just installed a toughness mindset into me and just told me that I have to really lock in on the defensive end of the ball, and I had to be a relentless worker and have to do all the little things in basketball that didn't involve me having the basketball in my hands, like moving, setting good screens, and just having a tough mindset.
Gotcha.
And there's a question for both of you guys. How did it feel leading? I want to make sure I'm saying the high school name. Owasso?
Yes.
Okay. Owasso leading them to their first 6A state title. Like, how was that?
It was unbelievable. I mean, it was the first time our school has, played in the state championship game, and then for us to be able to do it, the first time ever, it was awesome, man. And then being able to do it with your son, it was very special. But there's a lot of emotions that come with it. Being able to do it for the first time. You think back to all the guys that you've coached that have been a part of our program, that have been really close, but haven't had the opportunity to be able to host the gold ball. So it was a lot of excitement and then a lot of reflection at the same time.
Sure.
Very, very thankful and a humbling experience.
Yeah, it was a great ride, definitely, to see all the hard work that me and my teammates put in during the off season conditioning, and to come together as a group throughout the season and be able to share that moment with my teammates, and obviously my dad and the rest of the coaching staff to hold up a gold ball and be the first ones to ever do that in Owasso. I'd like to see ourselves as legends, from now on in the city of Owasso. So it was truly a special feeling.
Oh yeah, nobody can take that away from you guys.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Forward, So, Coach, talk a little bit about that. I'm sure your son, this 2017, you're an assistant, you take over. He's probably running around. I don't know if you have any other sons or daughters, whatnot, but like, hey, I'm going to take over this program, and then my son's probably going to play. Just talk about that, and then, like you said, you guys were expected to be good this year, but you still have to get it done. It's not like it's going to be, you're not going to be handed it. So just talk about that process a little bit.
When I took over the job, it wasn't known as a basketball power. In fact, I think we were only in the state tournament 3 other times before or 4 of the times before I became head coach. So, we had a lot of work to do. And anytime you're building it, you got to change the culture, change the mindset of the kids, help them understand, how to be successful, get them to believe in something that's huge. And then you got to build it, right? You got to be lucky. You got to have talented kids. But also you just we pride ourselves on doing things the hard way, grinding at it, playing defense, taking care of the ball, taking high percentage shots, playing the right way, working, at this thing 365. So that's the way we built it. And then as Jalen, started to get older, I could tell that he was going to have the potential to be a really good basketball player. And it got back to, like he said earlier, when he was younger, he wanted to be special at this deal. So, it was just having the mindset of being able to tell him how hard you got to work at it, right? Basketball is a cool sport. You work at it, and you can still fail. But you got to fall in love with the grind and the process and the everyday habits that can allow you to be successful. And, we've got some unbelievable kids here in Owasso that are just basketball junkies. They're in the gym 24/7. They work hard. They're coachable. They're very unselfish. So that's the reason we've had success. And I look back, and out of the last 4 years, we've been to the state tournament 3 times. Last year we played in the state semifinals, and this year we won the state championship. When I think, the team that we beat, they were 2-time defending state champs. Had a lot of seniors. They've been there before. Our nucleus on our team is still young. They're sophomores. So for them to be able to play and do it on the biggest stage in our state, it speaks volumes about their character and their toughness and who they are, but it's also a pride of and a testament of what our program is about.
Gotcha.
Jalen, let's speak about that, championship game. You scored 34 points, right?
Yeah.
And that had to be like the clincher, just not only just to win the state title, but also you won Gatorade Player of the Year in Oklahoma as a sophomore.
Yeah.
So just kind of talk about like achieving that goal. Most guys, they want to get that, by their senior year. You got it your second year in high school. So just talk about that experience of getting it as an underclassman.
Yeah, no, it was a dream come true. To see all the great players that have received that award before me, and Owasso, especially like Shake Milton. He's a great role model for me, and I try to take in as much as advice as he gives me. So to see the hard work that I put in through the summer and the off season, and just to see the reward of receiving that award. But I kind of like to base it with my teammates as well. Without them, that award would not even be possible. Without the coaches, my coaching staff, that wouldn't be possible. So, I'm so grateful for that award, and I wanted it coming into my sophomore year, so it wasn't that big of a surprise to me. I knew I had a chance at it. So, but I just kept working, and I controlled what I could control throughout the year, and to receive that award, it was truly a blessing.
Brian, how did it feel just seeing your son receive that award?
I mean, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Probably more tears than anything. This is the thing that with him, with Jalen, he keeps raising the bar. Especially on us here in Owasso. And what I mean by that is he had some lofty goals going into his freshman year. Like he put some things down on the paper that I was looking at like, man, those are good, but I didn't tell him this, but I was thinking, man, you're crazy if you're going to be able to achieve them. But the one thing that separated him and him being able to do this is he works. He's a relentless worker. He's constantly in the gym, and he prides himself on doing it the old-fashioned way. Like he's in there every day. There's very few days he takes off. And he's a perfectionist, right? Like he's got to do things a certain way, and his workouts have to be a certain type of way, and they got to look a certain way, or he's frustrated with it. But he told me when he was in 7th grade and we lost in the state quarterfinals in a tough loss, that him and his buddies were going to get a gold ball for us. And he delivered this year, and him being Gatorade Player of the Year is one of the goals that he had written down. So to watch him manifest his dreams and his goals with the hard work that he's put in behind it, it's awesome as a parent. Like take the coach away and me just being dad. It's fulfilling to watch your kids, pour their heart and soul into something, and whether they're successful at it or not, I think what he's established at a young age is a work ethic that's second to none. And that's what I'm most proud of him for is, just the character and the love and the grind that he has for this process.
Sure. Yeah, the work ethic is very important, obviously, and the things you want to accomplish. Another thing you want to accomplish, Jalen, and you've already been there, you have some experience, but you're at the USA Basketball Mini Camp Final Four weekend. Me and Ronnie were there. Just tell us about that and, what you want to accomplish, maybe something a little bit more or something different to help, Team USA win another gold medal in Turkey. I believe the team would be in Turkey, the World Cup. So if all, just talk about that process and obviously it's a little different than what your dad went through it, trying to get a scholarship and at his time, you're playing with the best players in the country, and many of them, you guys know each other a little bit, and maybe there's some inner competition, but it's a lot different than it was, 25, 30 years ago when your dad was trying to play college basketball.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to be invited back to those mini camps every single time they have them, just to be in that group of guys. They're all good players, the best in the nation, but they're even better guys to hang around and have fun with outside of the court. And I built a great relationship with most of them. And I still keep in contact with a bunch of guys from the U16 team from last year, and we're all good friends now to this day. So yeah, to compete in those mini camps every single year and to, show off my skills and get to NBA scouts and all the different types of scouts there. It's truly a great event, and I'm extremely blessed to keep receiving invites to those mini camps, and I definitely do not take that for granted because there's guys right behind me that want that invite and are continuing to keep on working for that invite. So it's a blessing.
Yeah, me and Ronnie were there when you're one of our standouts.
Yeah,
especially on that second day. I believe that was a Saturday. That was a Friday. Maybe it was a Friday. I don't know. One of them days.
They all run together, don't they?
Yeah, they just get all.
It definitely wasn't Sunday. It definitely wasn't Sunday.
Well, we were out of there Sunday.
Yeah.
So, but no, you were really good. Like it was impressive just to see how comfortable you were out there. Every time, comfortable, kind of showing your game offensively, showing your versatility on the ball, off the ball, utilizing your length and just your IQ, and then just kind of seeing it in that format. And you not like. A lot of kids sometimes don't take a backseat because they see a bunch of guys, right? You know what I mean? Or they feel like they got to force the issue much. You just kind of play like you just normally play, which is always very effective. Which that was one thing I really noticed about you, that I was like, okay, like you're a sophomore, but you have like this feel and IQ of like an upperclassman, which I think that kind of what stands out with me to you. But just talk about like your game. Who do you model your game after?
His dad, right? Your dad, right?
Nah, definitely not. Definitely not. But I'll probably have, three guys in common. Probably Michael Porter Jr., Paul George, and probably Grady Dick, around those tall wings that can shoot the ball at a high level, that can, score at all three levels and use their length on defense in a positive way.
Yeah. Those three guys are great because they're not, most people say KD, Kobe Bryant, they're three guys that you have to study a little bit.
Yeah.
No, Grady Dick's not that, he's really not that much older than you. So that's a positive thing. It's somebody that you can relate to. And they all have different backgrounds. I saw Paul George in high school. He wasn't very highly recruited, and you can see that he was going to be good, whereas Grady Dick was kind of like a national top 5 guy. So, everybody has their different backgrounds or different paths. But for you, your path is to get better, obviously. But, whether it's on this Team USA or MoCan or any fall league setting, where do you got to do to make it better next year? Okay, you're Gatorade State Player of the Year now. Now, how can you be National Player of the Year like Grady Dick was when he won in Gatorade? How can you take your game to the next level?
Just keep doing what I'm doing. Stick to the script and, put in the work every single day and, don't look too far ahead in the process. Just take it day by day and get 1% better every single day, is my goal. I have that, written down in my board in my room. Just get 1% better every single day. And, the chips will fall in place and everything else will take care of itself.
Sure.
So how do we repeat? Brian, Jalen, like how do we repeat? Now you got the target.
Man, like here's the thing, right? Like this is the way I look at this. Coaching your son is not easy, right? Like it's not easy. And Jalen has made this easy for me because he's the player he is, right? Like he's a heck of a player. But there's a lot of pressure coming with it too, because if you've got a highly ranked kid, in the country, considered one of the better players in the country, surely you should win your state title, right? That's what everybody says. So that puts an immense amount of pressure on myself and my coaching staff, which feels it a lot from me. But no, man, I mean, it's like this, right? Like, yeah, there is pressure with it, but like we work extremely hard at this, we try to play. We play the best schedule, the hardest schedule that we can possibly play in high school. Like next year, we're going to the city of Palms, and we're going to play. There's some other nationally showcases and tournaments that we're going to go play in. And the reason being is because we want to play against the best, and challenge yourself. And that's what I told him. I'm like, man, I got to enjoy it for about 12 hours until I realized, man, they won this one at a young age. Now everyone looks at it like he's a sophomore, so ultimately he should win his junior and senior year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I looked at it. And I'm like, here comes the
good.
pressure again, right? Like here comes this deal again. But it's really cool and unique because it's not really pressure. It's ways of, we've got to continue to develop guys in our program, and Jalen's got to continue to develop and get better. And we're mindful of where he's at, where he's getting to, and then also the kids in our program, our standard and our expectations have risen. So we've got to do it the old-fashioned way, and we've got to work at this thing and grind, and everybody's got to get better. And that starts with me as a head coach. I've got to get better and making sure I'm putting guys in the right situations and making sure they're developing, making sure they're getting stronger, making sure we're doing everything we can to have another shot at this thing next summer or next winter.
Yeah, I'm sure you enjoyed it enough just until our guy down at Florida, Donnie Wilkie's blowing your phone up saying, you got to come, you got to come.
Donnie, it was funny too, because Donnie, when I was talking to him, I was talking to Donnie, we were on the way to a tournament. It was in January, and Donnie, we were talking back and forth, and he was like, man, usually we have state champions that come here, and you guys haven't won a state championship yet, and but I was like, we've got a really good player, we're going to be really good. We've got the pieces. I think we're still a year away, and then boom, we win it, So I think that kind of solidified us being able to get invited to that awesome tournament down in Florida.
That's great. Well, yeah, guys, good luck, this summer. Jalen, one last thing, how are you guys going to be one of the best teams in the country? Michael Porter told me, hey, you guys ranked us too low in the preseason when he was at Hale. They won the national title. He was right, their senior year. So how are you going to, how can you guys be one of the best teams in the country? Is that your prediction? Give us a little bit of forecasting here.
Yeah, I don't really put a limit on, our team. I feel like we can be one of the top programs in the country. I feel like we have the pieces and the guys capable of doing that. And I feel like we're just all pulling up the same rope and, going for 2 next year. And I just got to continue to be a leader for my guys and continue pushing the younger guys and keep on trying to get them better and try to, use the knowledge that the game of basketball has brought to me at such a young age, like the USA mini camps and going to play overseas with Italy, and just try to use the knowledge that I have and, try to spare it around the team and try to get everybody better.
Great. All right, fellas. Well, good luck, and we'll let you go and see you later this summer, and enjoy it as much as you can.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Great interview. Those Coach Brian Montonati and his son, they said a lot of great things. They really took the time, insight, really thoughtful answers, and we really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Brian and Jalen, just, they really know basketball. They know ball. Like, one of the first things Jalen talked about was like, setting good screens, like learning how to set good screens, someone like him, you don't hear dudes talk about setting good screens, but he understands setting good screens allows better flow in the offense, allows more scoring opportunities for himself. And obviously Brian, he coaches him. It's hard to coach your son.
Sure.
And for to lead that Owasso group to the first state title in Oklahoma. And, for Jalen to get Gatorade Player of the Year, that's just a special year. And, kind of more like a dream, like a dream that's become a reality. But great people. You mentioned it before we watched the interview. Like, Jalen's also someone that needs to be up there. He's very talented at 6'7", can really shoot the basketball, can move without the ball, can create for himself. He's not just like a one-trick pony offensively. And he just, like I said in the interview, his IQ is just tremendous. He just plays older than he is. And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, that competition for sophomore of the year is going to be fierce. There's some other guys that we, talk about. You saw Jaden Moore from Hopkins, Minnetonka at that border league as well. Kind of mentioned that he, as a point guard, really didn't get to see Quincy Wadley from Bishop O'Connell this season. We saw Bishop O'Connell, but he was hurt. He didn't play in the tournament I saw him in, and obviously they had a McDonald's All-American and Bryson Tucker, but Quincy Wadley was a bad boy as a freshman. He's a great player, but again, sometimes you don't get to see guys where you want or in the situation you want. So he's somebody to watch in that class. I also would like to get a little bit more of the House brothers from Arizona Uni, who they play with. They play with Brandon McCoy on that team, and they have a great program on that UIBL circuit. Their 16s have some boys. Their 15 team on is really big and good. They got some great young players, a lot of great young players in Arizona. We can talk about them just alone. We can bring on our guy Greg Rosenberg and go crazy and just talk about Arizona.
Oh, that's the next guest. You got to get Rose in here.
Yeah, but it's like, we're just going to keep moving it forward. We're just naming as many names as we can. And so at the event I went to, the Fantastic 40 Miami, a lot going on, but we didn't get to see our guy, House. He was injured, so he didn't play, and he didn't play this weekend either. So this last 2 weeks he's been sitting out. That's the sons of Eddie House. So
Right.
it's we're talking about Caden House. K-Lick House did play, and K-Lick House played well, and he had a great season. So he had his brother is an elite athlete, an elite player, and he is a very good player too. So I just want to get more of them. And obviously, like I said, Caden was injured or has been on the mend, kind of like Elijah. So any other closing thoughts on 226?
Yeah, I think it's kid Davion Atkins for Faith Family plays on the Southern Assault. He may be the best athlete in that class, to be honest with you. 6'8"ish, 6'9". I mean, Ronnie, like the putback dunks, blocks. I mean, the dude kind of came from nowhere. Dude shot a layup. He grabbed it with both hands and his head hit the backboard.
Wow.
Just athletic player, but has like real good touch around the rim. Really dependable left-handed hook. I think there's so much upside into him. Talked about like Ron Hall and someone he tries to model his game after. Can really see that. Obviously Ron has a different level of dog, but
sure.
But not saying this kid doesn't play hard. But I can kind of see it from a prototype, like athletic and just game prototype where he could really become. So Davion Atkins from Faith Family, I think he's going to take a leap this year. Seven Spurlock, who also is at Faith Family this year, 6'6" wing. There's a video of him out there, like he caught it baseline, drove, and did an East Bay.
Oh, boy.
Dunk.
It's so easy for guys now. Like,
right.
I wonder what our guy J.R. Ryder feels about that. It's like guys are East Bay like East Bay funk dunk like nothing. You know what I mean?
He got 50s on the East Bay dunk in the dunk contest. But now you got 16-year-olds doing it, just doing it in the game, just driving baselines. Like it's crazy. Trent Perry, obviously Frisco Lone Star, is really good. There's a kid from Dream City, plays 17s with the Utah Prospects. Ikenna Alozi was really good. May have been, arguably, and you had Caleb Holden there, and you had some other good 26 and 3 SSB, but definitely have to mention his production and his play, like a big, strong physical guard that's athletic, made shots from deep, did a good job just, as a 226, being the leader in that 225 group, that 17U group, and winning. I don't think Utah Prospects lost a game. If they did, they lost one. But just him being the lead guard there, scoring and playmaking, and he was doing that at a high level. He has a college-ready body. He was someone that was like, he's, he should be a burger boy when it's all said and done.
Wow, great. I wanted to also mention Mason McGee and a couple of the guys on the Vegas Elite 16s roster. Very, very good. Very good. Very good team. He's a good player out of Basha in Arizona. Cameron Williams, remember him from St. Mary's in Arizona. That guy's going to be – he got a lot of rave reviews at the Made Hoops event this past weekend. 16 and under EYBL, Vegas Elite. Cam is oozing with potential and talent, 6'9", 6'10". He's kind of like, again, he looks and moves like KD. And that's not the comparison necessarily. Just that's what you kind of want to hope he gets, that kind of,
right.
to that kind of jump shot, of draw up his jump shot a little bit, run. He's still kind of like a Bambi, like a baby deer, but he's oozing with potential. It's just somebody to watch. Again, we're not comparing him at all to any NBA All-Star or great, but he's somebody to want to watch on if you go watch EYBL games. So, let's Ani close up the show with 227. Now, I've been saying this to you and Chelsea for a few months now, maybe even for 6 months. Like, these boys got some work to do to catch 226. But are we giving them a bad rap? Is that do they give them some time? They'll be fine. What's the deal there?
227 is an interesting class. It's like a class like I think they'll be a fine class. I don't know. I think 226 will be deeper. And I felt like they were deeper at the same time. 227, obviously, man, I don't even want to botch the kid's name, but he's from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yes.
Baba Ola Datun. I don't want to botch his name, but
yeah,
he's number one in that class. I mean, I saw him at the underclassmen All-American, Ronnie, in Atlanta. Our boy Naismith running it. Boy, oh boy. Like, yo, like, out of both classes, you could argue he's the best one.
Wow.
From a long-term perspective, 100%. 6'7", guard skills, shoots off the dribble, catch, finishes at the rim, long arms. The kid looks like he's going to grow another inch or two. I mean, he's legit. Like, he's a legit scorer, player, has all the tools, skinny, which most freshmen are, but I thought, like, no-brainer, like, 5-star kid's going to be up there in that class. God forbid any injury type, but, like, he's going to be up there, for the whole time. And Ryan Hampton, those two to me, Ryan Hampton, little brother RJ Hampton. There may be another Hampton, definitely up there in the ranks. Those two kind of really stood out to me. Just long, rangy wings that can just really score the basketball. I saw Ryan literally in Adidas for Game Elite 15U game. He had the team's last 15 out of 18 points. Wow. And they hit a game-winning mid-range.
And he's at Rockwell Heath this past season, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Ryan Hampton, Game Elite. Is he going to probably play at the 16s at all, or he'll probably stay on the 15s?
I think he'll stay at 15s. We'll see. Sure. 15s. I would like to see him in some up. Like, he can definitely play in a higher low, but I think, right now they just really kind of want him to dominate his play very well in his age group right now.
Got you. Those are two great names. I saw Montonati, I believe, at USA Basketball. I was really impressed by just honestly setting screens and just taking up space and being strong. I was like, this kid is kind of like our guy, Jalen Montonati said, like, if he wants to set a screen, that's the guy you want for 227.
Right.
He's a good place to start. I like Jalen Mitchell from Reitz Memorial in Indiana, 6'7". He's a guy to watch this summer for when you get out there on the circuit, guys. Watching all the various circuits and the camps. I really like him. Again, Reitz Memorial, Jalen Mitchell. A guy I want to watch, and he plays for 16 Dream Vision, or does as of now, is the California Freshman of the Year, Gene Roebuck. Again, he's from La Mirada. He's a scorer. He's playing in some big games, but I want to see him against that level of player on 3SSB and what he projects. I don't know what he projects as to what level. He's a great player, and you got to give him credit for the production he had as a freshman. He'll be on the freshman All-American team. I'll just give it away now, but where do you go from there? And like you said, what level? How does he do against the other great, 16U type teams and the players he'll see, which include the 226 guys? So Gene Roebuck from La Mirada, a name to follow this spring and summer. Man, we've seen a lot already, but again, because we're not in the live period, Ani, so there's events we can go to. There's, you've already been to quite a lot since the season ended. Two kids we got to mention, teammates on the Florida Rebels, is it? YBL team? 15s right now. And we mentioned that Arizona Unity, they got some great guys too on that 15s, but Caden Daughtry from Calvary Christian, Fort Lauderdale, and O'Neill Delancey from Gibbs of St. Petersburg. Backcourt on that Florida Rebels team. Ani, they're special. I mean, especially O'Neill Delancey. He just stood out really great at that fantastic 40. The only guy better at that fantastic 40 was our guy Dino's getting it done.
Dino's got one in the ranking.
Oh yeah, in the rankings, our guy Dino's is way out there. But honestly, all jokes aside, those two kids are great names to remember. Again, Caden Daughtry and O'Neill Delancey. So I don't know if you seen any other 15 or 16 teams that you really got to watch, or
we got one. We got AB Elite, Anthony Black Elite. His brother Beckham.
Beckham. Yeah, we talked about Beckham before.
Yeah, the best guard we have in Texas in 227. High field, can shoot the basketball. Not like doesn't blow by guys, but he's so crafty with his handle, can just kind of get to spots and navigate. I mean, he's like a floor general out there that can really score the basketball, but also get others involved. I mean, Beckham just again, I'm big on IQ and feel. Like he has a high feel for the game. And then Dawson Batiste, brother Dylan Batiste. He's Dylan may not like to hear this. I know he's probably heard this enough. I think he'll end up being better than Dylan. Dylan's obviously committed and he's going to go to Temple. But I think Dawson has all the tools of being like a top 20 to 30-ish player in the country. Big wing that can about 6'6", 6'7", that can score from the perimeter in the paint, kind of just a matchup problem. And I think he just got a lot of tools, like athletic around the rim, in traffic. Like he does a lot of good. And then Marcus Spears Jr. I think that's the son of Marcus Spears.
Sure,
he's a lefty. Skinny as hell, but like wow. I've never seen someone so skinny play so tough and physical. Wow. Like bang, use your shoulder finish, showing that he can make like a spot up three. There's a lot of upside to him. He's someone just to watch and keep tabs of in the future. Like I think his best basketball is ahead of him.
Great.
And it's easy to say that about a freshman, but we've seen guys with like develop legs and arms at like 15. Like he's all like long arms and legs, and kind of goofy sometimes and awkward. Like you could tell he's just, there's so much room for growth.
Correct. And sometimes our freshman of the year, you can tell that he may not be like first team All-American as a senior. As you said, you can see that he's developed and advanced, or that he's not going to be, a projected NBA guy just because he's already advanced and developed. He's dominating with strength and size at the high school level. And that's okay. Again, as long as you can adjust your game, know that, again, we preach, try to get some good advice from somebody who's not close to you and loves you, just so you can get another feel and another perspective, because of course those around you really care and they want to see you succeed all the time. So, those are great names. We mentioned a lot of names. We can go on and on, but we want to really thank our special guest, Coach Brian Montonati and Jalen Montonati. We'll see where they are in the Fab 50 next year. They're going to start Fab 50 ranked. They won that state title. They're regionally ranked, and they're going to go to City of Palms. They're going to play in probably play at least one of the hoop halls.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, of the guys we saw, we're going to see the gist of the best 225s and some of the 226 Ani at the Pangos camp first week of June. Then that will be in Las Vegas, and then the NBA Top 100 camp June 8th through 13th, which is about 3 or 4 days later, after Pangos in Orlando. So any thoughts on those two? And then, we're going to do some player rankings, but also wrap up this season's, rankings, and then maybe even do some 225 rankings. But more than that, do the player rankings at those events, and then wrap up this season with all the honors.
Yeah, like now that the NBPA camp has moved up closer in June, we'll get 2 weeks of like very solid showings. Obviously, I'll be at both, but obviously Pangos and NBPA camp's a little bit different, right? Pangos a little bit, a little bit more free flowing. But you know, there's guys that really stand out or make a name for themselves, and still you want to see the ones that continue to compete. A lot of games going on in NBPA, obviously more structured setting, but it's good. Like it's a clean environment. The top guys are going at each other, so it's like you get the best of both worlds. You get more of a like. The Pangos camps are they're fun, but like the competitive guys, the guys that are going after really stand out, right?
Sure.
Like the ones that are mature enough to not just kind of just be whatever, but actually really compete, really stand out and help themselves out. You got all 30 NBA teams that are out there. So like it's a really good setting for the ones that really take advantage of it. And the NBPA camp is different, probably a little bit more half court type of offenses going on. And then so you got to see how guys are like still competing and playing, and it's over multiple days, and they're getting fed a lot of information. The last year Ryan Silver was there, so you know you got to sit down, listen to the talks between all the former pros, coaches, all that. Go back on the court, get yelled and screamed at. So seeing those guys like that are at Pangos, then come to NBPA camp, and then like still hooping. I think that would be. I'm interested to see. Like I think that definitely. It'll give us a clear view on the rankings. Is what I
no doubt going into the fall and the end of the summer. Also wanted to mention, because like you said, they're kind of close together, so that Pangos camp will end on a Tuesday. Then the players, I think, for NBA will come in like that Sunday. So it's like 4 or 5 days. Also, players, if you're a coach or you're a fan or you know somebody that's an elite player, make sure you take care of your body and get that rest in between. Don't be jerking around, playing in something that you don't need to be playing to, or DMing these girls staying up all night in your DM. Get some rest in those, in between those two big camps, because that's gonna be a lot. That's gonna be a big barometer for the rest of the summer. So I think like we said, we had again, thanks to our special guests, the Montonatis, and thank you to Ronnie. And I think we're gonna get out of here. We have plenty to work on and plenty to do as we head. As the spring rolls on and we head to those key summer events.
Peace, y'all.
Take care, guys.